Are we live? Oh,
there we go. Now we're live. All right. Happy Friday. One day we will get the hang of that exact
problem. No, we're never going to get the hang of it. That's part of the fun.
Well, happy Friday.
Yes, happy Friday. And you have to show everybody your sweater, especially for those of you who are familiar with this franchise.
Oh, okay. All right. Buc-ee's. The Buc-ee's Christmas sweater. And if you're not, I'm just telling you, if you're traveling in the Southwest, Texas through Kentucky, you should know what a Buc-ee's is, because it is the nirvana, the holy land for travelers. It's we love Buc-ee's.
That's cool. That's cool.
Yes. No, although your hat rocks.
Oh, my hat. You know, I'm a fan. I just think, for those of you who, know us, you probably know that Lenny and I both like to have a good time and laugh. But, when we log on each week that we've been doing this, we really are just gigglies. Like, the 10 minutes before the show goes on, we're just giggling. And I think that that's really the spirit that I want to infuse everybody with, is just, the joy of the season. For everybody needs a little bit of joy, right? Especially if there's stress and anguish and all the other negative emotions. Like, hopefully we can bring a little joy to you.
Hopefully. This can be a tough time of year, and recognize that. So, but yeah, hopefully we're more jingle bells than like Little Drummer Boy, which is actually my favorite song, but it always makes me cry. So
yeah, I know. I have a great Little Drummer Boy figurine that was my grandmother's, that so old, but it's just one of my favorite things too. So, but I also do like a good meme about the drummer boy. Like, really, what were they thinking? Like, here, play drums for this baby, because
right.
Anybody who's had a baby knows, like, that's probably the last thing.
That's right.
Anyway,
should we jump in?
Yeah, let's jump in. So we're going to start today with we love industry awards, right? We talk about them a lot, and this week something else came on my radar, which we didn't touch on last week, although I think it was announced last Friday. But the QRCA announced winners of the 2024 Naomi Henderson Legacy Award. And Lenny, did you ever have a chance for your path to cross with Naomi?
It did not pass. I did not connect with Naomi. No.
Did not connect. So, I mean, she's iconic in the qualitative space, right? She, founded Riva moderator training, and is just an amazing researcher, and wrote some great books on becoming a master moderator. And so anybody who's ever been Riva trained, knows that she was, just iconic. And she spoke, like, just put her on stage at QRCA, and everybody just, fell at her feet. And I had the honor and privilege of helping her out on many projects. So I know her well, and I just got really excited when I saw these Legacy Award winners. So I'm just going to do a quick shout out, if you're cool with that. So Juliana D'Amico, lead user research at Bright House Financial, received the Learning Award. And so congratulations, Juliana. And one of the reasons that I thought that was cool is because I know for a fact from some of the courses that I took I taught beyond Riva, is that Bright House Financial really works hard to train their employees, because they've done other research things. So super cool. I'm really excited for Juliana. And then also Daniel Burkle. I don't know if you know Daniel. He spoke at our event last year. I've known him for years. Also, SVP at the Palmerston Group. He won the teaching award. So congratulations to you, Daniel, and to Juliana, both of you. It's wonderful to receive an award that is a legacy from somebody who was just so impactful in the world of qualitative research. So hats off.
Congratulations. And that, so a quick aside, my business partner in Rockhopper for many years was Bill Weylock. Bill, and one of the co-founders of QRCA, and dear friend, passed away a few years ago. So who made me aware of being a moderator is tough stuff. I am not a good moderator, as we've already established. Bill was an excellent moderator. I suck at it. And that's probably a segue, isn't it?
No, it probably is a segue. What does it take to be a good moderator? And our machine's capable of doing it. So let's just throw that out there, because there was, and I don't remember which was the post. There was a post about it, and I had the benefit of seeing a platform this week with artificial intelligence doing the moderating. And of course, we're in a world of chatbots asking questions to maybe get qualitative data, but But what I saw was very different, and it was about whether machines can actually do the work, all of the work, soup to nuts, of a moderator. So you want to talk about how we even found out about this kind of new platform and why it's so intriguing?
Yeah, well, shout out to Kerry Hecht at Echo. She turned us on to ResearchGOAT, and we thought, well, okay, if Kerry said we should take a look at it, we should take a look at it, and we did. And I was not able to make the meeting, but you did the demo, which I think was absolutely the right thing. So, and so let's
Yeah.
So this is feedback about the tech, about this path that we're going on.
Yes.
That I think if I correctly, on one level, the platform is like, holy crap, this is really cool.
Yeah.
But there's this critical component of moderation.
Yeah.
That's the piece that is not necessarily fit for purpose.
Yeah. And what's really interesting about it is you and I have talked a lot about, I think even earlier this year, talking about, the golden age of qual, or a new qual renaissance, like this reliance on qualitative research right now to sort of, validate and confirm what people are learning about through, kind of AI assistance for surveys and all that. It's the more of a need for the human connection and get face to face and all that. And then enter, a synthetic moderator to the scene, which challenges that very thing. So it's still saying, yeah, qual's important, but now the machines are going to help us with that too. And I'm not just talking about analyzing qualitative data, which is the use case I think we've been excited about with AI. This is synthetic interviewing, the LLM, not just responding to a prompt or a question, but actually doing the question asking. And it was interesting. So, one of the things I loved about this platform when I saw it was the upfront organization, how to organize a research brief, for example, and how to make sure that you're tracking the business objectives along with the research questions. And then the synthesis on the other side is making sure you're answering those research questions and meeting the business objectives. So all of that soup to nuts, I really liked about it. But then when it started, the voice that started asking the questions, I, took pause and I thought, oh, I don't know that we're there yet, because there is a lot of work that a human moderator does that I just don't know that machines are going to be able to do. But it is indicative of the future, where this technology is building and growing and possible, friends. So,
yep. Well, I think it was interesting because I had multiple conversations this week after our conversation, kind of the debrief on it. And with, this week, some people may have saw, I'm taking a more active role through my Gen 2 relationship with Remesh, which is, it's qualitative at scale. Yeah. Everybody knows I'm on the board of Recollective, yada, yada, yada. Right. So I play these different roles kind of with qualitative technology. And so this was really interesting. And it reinforced for me that idea that we've been talking about last mile data, right? And that's kind of how research is going to shift, where AI is going to be able to tell us a lot of what we already know. Yeah. And then it's what we don't know. But the role of the human, it just reinforced for me again, and especially in this scenario, if AI powers qualitative at scale, and it does, and it will, and we saw an example of that, but the human enablement is still vitally important, because not only does you are trained, not me, to not introduce bias, to not ask leading questions, to, be a facilitator rather than a friend, right? And to get information that we don't know, and to explore those, the unknowns, kind of the, that creative element of humans, and all that good stuff, the real insights, the stuff that makes it powerful. The AI is not going to replace the human. Instead, these platforms need to enable and empower the human to do things more at scale. And that's, so I just maybe drinking my own Kool-Aid, but that was my takeaway of.
I like that Kool-Aid too, though. No, yeah, your takeaway. Go ahead. You finish your thought.
Well, no, that kind of where we were going of. Yeah, fantastic example. Congratulations to the folks at ResearchGOAT. You're on the right path.
Cool
right?
stuff.
I mean, we
Yeah.
see where that's all going, and that's fantastic. World, get ready.
Yeah.
But the human is not being replaced. We're not
Yeah.
there yet.
Yeah, and I think that it becomes all the more important for developers, people who are working in this space, to say, yeah, we could do that, to understand what actually is happening in that room. I mean, those of us, who have done this for years know that much of what happens in the front room is not tangible to the people in the back. They do not know the brain at work managing the group dynamics, or considering what to probe and what not to probe, and how to lead without leading down a certain path to get to this golden nugget, to channel Naomi Henderson again, who, talked about the intuition involved in asking the questions that will get you something that is truly impactful and insightful. And that is an intuition and a skill that right now machines will not have, because that's something else. So there's so much that happens in that room that's deliberate, that's mindful. And I don't know if that's going to be easily replicated, but it has to be considered as these these intelligence forms are trained to do that work.
Right.
Let's start sending some of these AI developers to Riva or to other training schools, or at least consult with an expert, who knows what's going on in that space, or who's taught it before, because there's a lot behind the scenes that people don't know.
And maybe there is a way to train the persona.
Yeah.
At some point that's going to require a corpus of information, to your point, to get there and facilitate that. But we ain't there yet. So
yeah, we ain't there yet, but I'm going to segue into what you found is happening in Indiana, because so folks, Lenny found this article that talked about the fact that scientists at Indiana University have constructed a hybrid biocomputer that combines laboratory-grown human brain tissue with traditional circuits. So again, now we're super, super science lab, but the technology known as brainaware, that's fun, has the potential to integrate AI systems and advance neuroscience research models of the human brain.
Yep.
So again, if there's a part of you that thinks, I don't know if these things are possible, please note there are researchers at work in our, stellar universities experimenting with this stuff. I mean, What is that going to bring? We are literally hard at work seeing what's possible. Right. At the same time, we're all nervous saying, oh, maybe we should go slow. That, out of the box for science researchers, curiosity is like, heck no, we're going.
And this stuff's been talked about for years. I mean, they earlier it was done, I think, years ago with mice brain cells, right? Yeah. And the idea is all of these technologies are built on neural networks. That's a conceptual framework for computing that has existed for a very long time. And like any neural network, like the brain, hence why I can see why they decided to do this. Think about a baby to an adult, right? You're making more connections. Your brain is growing. It's not just the size, it's the connections. It's the neural network that it continues to expand, right? Yeah. Within, as we grow and learn and experience, and it brings up questions of consciousness and, all types of weird stuff that we can go into, but it is computing power, and it is organic growing computing power. That's effectively what it is doing. And now we're doing it, right? I mean, that these researchers have created that, and it expands computing power. Could one day we'd look at our desktop is a combination of tissue that is constantly expanding. We do away with memory the way we think about it now, hard-coded memory, and instead it's stored in this constantly expanding kind of cyborg brain thing.
Yeah.
Here we are. Right? And what does that do to the ability of neural networks to learn, and engage and expand capabilities?
Yeah. I mean, I know this is a really geeking out conversation, but I just think that for business professionals out there to ponder what is possible. I think that especially when, our field overlaps, of course, with science, when you consider data science and some of the other neuroscience that's involved in behavioral science. And anyway, all of that stuff, there's a lot of overlap, and we need to just challenge our brains to think about what's happening out there. And I mean, again, I am glad that there are people in those university labs doing this work, because to me, that's just really exciting that we are actually, taking strides into the future. And there are some really talented people doing this work in our country. So, and around the world for sure. So,
yeah. And I think one last, without beat that horse, but I think it's interesting to think so we learned, I saw this morning, shared it, and we added it into the queue for today, that there's probably 10 years worth of work that went into this beforehand. And I think that's just kind of where we are, and we need to be just prepared for kind of ontological shock. That there's, like this whole past year, what generative AI, what the hell? This has been going on for years. It reached a point of maturity to be released into the public. And then once that happened, then there's this kind of snowballing effect of use cases and exploration and innovation. And I think we're leveling out on that a little bit right now. And we're getting more into pragmatic applications like ResearchGOAT and others. What does it work? What's fit for purpose? What's not? And then there's going to be more, right? So next year, I think, look, we're just on this continual path now of cool / scary new stuff happening from a technology standpoint. And to your point, we cannot afford, no business can afford to sit on its laurels. We must stay abreast of these things, and we must think about what are the impacts on our business, what are the impact on our businesses, what are the opportunities, and what are the threats, because there are. I was reading an article earlier this week about Google, the change of Google unleashing generative AI within search. It is a revolutionary change that will cause problems for a lot of businesses that rely on Google to direct you to their links. That's not what this does. It's going to summarize the information. It's a big shift. It has lots of downwind effects across the board, and these are just the types of things that we need to be thinking about. So anyway, sorry, I didn't mean to go off on a rant, but
no, you're I love a good Lenny rant.
Yeah, that's why I love you, Karen. You're such a good BSer. I appreciate it. So
all right, let me rephrase. I love a good relevant Lenny rant. Right?
I'll take that one.
Yes, take that.
Well, speaking though, you've got something coming up.
All right. So and here's what's interesting, because this, by the way, this segue, folks, is going to bring us back down to something that is not necessarily AI, and yet another sort of trend that we're paying attention to. I've been invited through Dave McCaughan, who's, good friend to Green Book, and helping us curate our IIEX APAC event speakers. And he has now invited me to join him and the team at Marketing Futures for one of their league talks. It's coming out of Bangladesh. It's going to be on Facebook Live, I think. Once I know more, I can share it out, because the name of it is The Inevitables for 2024. And what I find really interesting about that is it's, okay, what's inevitable? And Dave shared what the inevitables are, and it's fascinating because it's not AI. AI and our use of it isn't inevitable necessarily. It's a choice, right?
It's Thanos, right?
Right?
Thanos is inevitable. Sorry, geek reference. Do you remember?
Yeah. Okay, so that one flew over the LCAT, but because I'm not that much of a nerd. So, but in any event, my point is we're having this talk, and he showed me what his 5 inevitables are, and some of the other panelists will build on that and share it. And I decided to go to LinkedIn and say, okay, what does my posse of people think are the big kind of mega or macro or micro trends that are really coming our way that we are going to face in 2024, whether we like it or not, and it's really interesting. And Carly can share the link to that LinkedIn post. Thank you, Carly. You're already ahead of it. Who am I kidding? But the idea is, something that keeps coming up is people are talking about audio and visual, and audio and video. And, we've talked before about the importance of video in our research, video presentations and video video ethnography and video research and all that. But now audio is another interesting layer on top of it as we are speaking to each other and to our audience. So we are clearly on trend here, but I just thought that's really interesting. And you found a great article that supports this AV trend that I'm unearthing also on LinkedIn, and just the human need for audio stimulation because we just have too much video stimulation or visual reading. I'm not sure exactly what it is. What's your thought as we learn a little bit from the Pocket FM survey?
Yeah, so it was really it was a great survey on understanding people's consumption habits of media. And I know I personally, over the last few years, have shifted from visual, from reading primarily for my content consumption, to primarily audio. Video is an adjunct. What we're doing right now, it's great that there's video.
You get to see the hat and the sweater.
Right. You see the hat and the sweater. That's fine. But as I'm working through the day, for instance, right, or my wife and I are driving on road trips, whatever the case may be, we may be playing video, but we're listening, we're absorbing the content, audio, and it's multitasking. It's a form of multitasking, right? So I can absorb much more content in work or personal interest, whatever. Although I won't personally do books on tape. That's like just a line for me. I have to read.
I love a book on tape when I'm driving. I can't do it in my house, but I love it when I'm driving. I
just can't do that. It's like I won't do books like a Kindle. I'm just a bibliophile. It's a weird thing for me. Point is, but audio, I absorb audio a lot, and that's what the study found. And Carly shared a link. And I think the implications are for marketers in the world of content marketing. And go back to the idea of what Google is doing now with generative AI, with summarizing information, right? That we still need text-based content to drive some of those mechanistic components. But how people are absorbing content is more auditory. And this study shows that. And I think my own personal experience, people I know, you, as we talk, I think that we're indicating that. So as we create content, the era of the text-only blog post, that is insufficient. It has a very tactical piece. For some people, it is still maybe a preferred method of absorbing content. I still read a ton every day, but I listen to a hell of a lot more.
And I think just for those who haven't clicked on the link for the survey yet, because you're, not tracking it on LinkedIn, I don't know if it's happening over on YouTube too, but the stat is 90% of American internet users tune into audio for entertainment, and 63 find audio helpful to de-stress. So those are the numbers we're talking about. We're talking about tuning in for entertainment, for decompression, and it's a sizable number. And I think, Lenny, one of the things that's interesting, and you touched on this, is Green Book, is a company that pushes out content, whether it's this show or our podcast or on an event stage or in our articles, like or our webinars, our tech showcases, like we have content, so we're paying attention. But I think, to me, the big lesson in all of this is, what's our message for brands? Right? Like, because are they pushing out content? Well, if you think about it, everything that they do in advertising has an audio component. How are we dialing up the audio to what used to be, video, purely video-based advertisements on TV commercials, right? Like, how are we changing the audio tracks for the person who has walked away or who's looking down at their phone and not looking at the TV? Because anybody who's watched live TV or YouTube TV, is how we stream it, knows when a commercial comes on, that's a great excuse to look down. Right. But if the audio is compelling, it's going to pull me back up. So think about your own behavior as a consumer of advertising. What does this mean for us? You know?
And what we can't do is so yes, we have a podcast, and we like to think that we have a very compelling, interesting podcast.
You like to think
we do. Yes. But not everybody can have a podcast, because sometimes it's boring crap. Let's just put it out there, right? True. I mean, that's true. a podcast on toilet paper may not be that compelling, except for a very niche audience.
Right.
But if that's an example of this trend, I think overall, and it's really the corollary is radio back in the day, and we need to pay more attention to non-visual means and mediums for connection with humans, whether for our brands, period. So
and I mean, even if you think about, let's go to our industry, and you think about, like, survey research, all right, answering a survey there, but gosh, if I could talk, and this could go back to the the AI, but if I was having a conversation with my Alexa unit or something in the kitchen, right, for my survey research, and I'm talking and I'm listening, that's a totally different interview, right? And I hope we see more of that. I hope we see more of that full experience interaction, because I think that will drive engagement up. And bring our survey research to the next level. Let's stop assuming that everything has to be read and typed. Let's change our methods, right?
Well, quick shout out to David Zotter, who's the CTO of Ipsos. But prior to that, when he was at SSI, early on when Alexa and Siri were introduced, he posted videos on his LinkedIn experimenting with voice-based research modes. I think there's a lot of reasons why the tech wasn't there yet. I think, like all things, generative AI may change that, and I think that we will see a return to voice for some things. It's got to be fit for purpose. You're not going to do a conjoint design study via voice, right? Just like we didn't back in the day, right? So it's a spectrum of engagement mechanisms that are fit for purpose based upon what we're trying to get to, right? And some things are going to be visual, some are going to be audio, some are going to be print, textual, and that's okay. And we need to think about embracing all of that. I guess that actually leads us into real quickly the week in AI.
I mean, wouldn't it be nice to have a week where we weren't talking about AI so much, and I think we might get there, right? There were a few articles, there were some other things that came up, right? But I think there's some good resources that we can share when it comes to AI. There's a few things that came out that fewer product launches were announced this week. Maybe it's the time of year. Maybe people don't like to announce in December too much of their product launches, but we have the AI Ethics Council, which I thought was really interesting because your friend and mine, Sam Altman, was involved in this one. And this one is really all about ensuring that AI is quite inclusive, actually, which I really loved this, because it isn't your typical ethics of AI and integrative AI, but this was more making sure that its civil rights aren't being violated, and that it's being approached from that lens, right, of who is protected and who is included. So super neat. Thank you for sharing that link, Carly. That's a pretty neat one, in my opinion. I was glad to see that.
I think those are all big issues. I mean, back to the the ResearchGOAT, there was bias in the LLM, not that type, but it's garbage in, garbage out, right? So we need to ensure the right balance on that. So I was thrilled to see that too. And then I guess I'll take the next one as we wrap up. Salesforce, just saw this morning, launches their Unlimited Edition Plus, a comprehensive suite for data, AI, and CRM with streamlined pricing and packaging. There you go, Salesforce. You can send us a check for the free plug.
They should send us a check.
But been waiting on that. These large enterprise platforms, these kind of industry leaders, incorporating this to connect the dots, it, across all of the various and sundry components that.
Well, if anyone has ever used Salesforce for their CRM, sorry to interrupt, but like, how many times do I log into a dashboard and I'm like, I just want to know this one thing, and now I have to figure out how to find it. Like, for me to be able to interact with that differently, and say, for instance, oh gosh, I'm sure I read that somebody signed up for a live podcast in North America. Who was that? Like, instead of me having to take those steps, if I could just ask it to give me what I'm looking for. So score, I think that one's a score for Salesforce users.
Yes, and what it made me think about, and it's exactly to that point, was the all the stuff we've been talking about really comes down to efficiency and usability.
Yeah.
Right. And through that's translated into business impact in a variety of ways. And this, although we haven't seen this, we just saw the press release. I'm sure it'll be at well, Tim could probably tell us all about it. Maybe we should have Tim on to tell us but it will, to your point, it'll probably make the user experience across the Salesforce ecosystem. And there is a bajillion different components in that. Will make that a hell of a lot easier to use, will increase efficiency, shorten the time of business impact. And that's where all this is going.
The goal, right? That's what we want for all of this. And the need that it can fill is to increase our efficiency and take away some of these pain points and frustrations. Like that is what we do research for half the time, is to identify those pain points and then help companies come up with a solve for it. So I do feel like way to go Salesforce, because that's, you know, that's meeting that need.
So last on that note, Aragon Research published their 2024 Globe Report for conversational AI.
Yeah.
If you look at these resources and glance at, there were companies I was not familiar with. So there is it's not all Microsoft and OpenAI and Amazon. There's a lot of companies participating here with different components addressing different issues. It's just a resource. Take a look at it as we're exploring these ideas, which ones are fit for purpose, where are the tools that we can engage with to build into our products, our solutions, our processes to get to that point of business impact.
And just when you take these little excursions down these rabbit holes that Lenny and I point out to you, because that's what we do, we'd say, go down this rabbit hole. Now check out this one. Let your brain do the work, right? Let your brain say, okay, like, what do I do with this information? How can I apply it to my work? Or what ideas does it stimulate in my thinking? So we encourage you to take everything we share as stimuli for your own creative and strategic thinking.
Yes. All right, let's.
We got to wrap, because we read in that Pocket FM study that, like, you know, nobody wants us to talk more than 30 minutes, right?
Right. But a housekeeping note for our listeners. So, next week, it's the week going into Christmas, and then of course we have the New Year. We're going to do a special year-end session next week. That will be our top 5 stories of the year. Karen and I, we're going to talk about our top 5 stories. Yep. I'm also going to wear my grand finale Christmas sweater.
Oh, grand finale!
Grand finale. I've got a bad one.
This could have been grand finale if I had thought through that.
You think Buc-ee's is bad? Oh my! Oh, you should see the one I'm going to wear next week. Anyway, point is that'll be our last one for the week or for the year. We will not have an exchange the week after Christmas. We're going to be doing family stuff. Hopefully you are too.
Yes,
and
I hope so too for everybody.
Yeah, but we'll be back in the new year.
Yeah, we'll see you next week. Year-end feedback is great for us because, I mean, I don't know, this is episode 21. We have done this a lot of weeks, Lenny. So it's kind of cool to see. The exchange at greenbook.org for any feedback. You like the length, you like the flow, you like the rabbit holes, anything you want to see more of, shoot us articles of interest, shoot us press releases. Like, we really will be taking it all in, and we'll see you next week. And we wish you all a great weekend.
Yep, absolutely. Bye-bye.
Thank you, everybody.
Take care.